Good evening. In the next episode of OPOstories from the NBA, my guest is Denise Hobson. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, no problem. I appreciate you having me.
Former NBA player from the Nets, New Jersey Nets, Chicago Bulls, Sacramento Kings, and also playing in Europe. How do you remember this time when you play in Europe?
Oh, man, I had a good time. I got a chance to meet new guys, and I got a chance to experience a different type of basketball. And plus, I played in big-time places, so that helped as well, because the majority of the teams had a lot of great Americans on there. So I had a good time playing over in Europe.
I will later also ask you something more about this European period time in your career. But first, I would like to ask you about the beginnings, the roots of the basketball in your life. Who was your favorite basketball player when you were a kid?
Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson was my idol when I was coming up. Actually, that's why I wore number 32 at Ohio State, because of Magic Johnson. I think what amazed me about Magic was his ability to handle the ball at 6'9". So yeah, he would be the guy that I would have to say was my favorite player back in the day.
When you practice on the courts, do you also try all those magic passes, no look passes, and so on?
Yeah, I think when I was young coming up and watching him at Michigan State, yeah, you did try to, or I did try to go out on the court and try to emulate him. Because again, I think, being 6'9" back in the day, the first thing that a coach, or the first place that a coach is going to put you is inside, playing the post. Well, with him being 6'9" and being a point guard, that amazed me.
So Magic Johnson was a player who you admire, and in 1987, in NBA draft, you were selected with the third pick. So there appeared opportunity to play with against your favorite player from the time when you were a kid. Did you expect it to be selected in the top 3?
Yes, I did. I think during my senior year, actually during my junior year, I played myself in the first round of the draft. And then my senior year, myself and Reggie Williams were ranked like the top shooting guards in the country that year. So, I knew I had a good chance of being I knew I was going to be an NBA player, but I knew I had a chance of being a top pick in the NBA draft. So, again, it was a great time for myself and a great time for my family. And, it's something that, a lot of kids dream about. And I can say that I was fortunate to do it.
Mm-hmm. What was the most difficult for you during rookie season when you changed the university style into the professional basketball?
The biggest thing was the speed of the game and the strength that the players had. And, back in the day, you had a lot of physical big guys. And basketball back then was the big guys were trying to get the little guys open. So, when you're on defense, you got a lot of guys setting screens for their better players. And most of the time it was for the 2s and the 3s. And with me being a 2, you had to be able to guard, and get through screens. So the biggest difference was the strength of the game, the speed of the game, and then being able to be physical enough to fight through screens when you're on defense. That was the biggest things.
Do you've got some any funny stories from the first season in the NBA as a rookie?
I think the only funny thing is that, when you're a rookie, you got to do what the veterans tell you to do. So you might get a late phone call in your room and a veteran wants you to go out and get them something to eat or something like that. But yeah, that's probably about the only funny thing that I can remember anyway, back when I was a rookie.
I guess that the budget for this type of activities were in your pocket, right?
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, you just, hey man, they tell you, man, you're a rookie. You can never say no. If somebody needs something, you always got to say yes.
And how do you remember the first time when you met your idol, Magic Johnson, on the court?
I mean, it was a good thing. I think at that time, now instead of being a fan, like I was when I was younger, now it's time to compete against. So, you know, you're in awe at first when you see him on the court, but you know, after you see him on the court, you know, it's business time. So, you know, that being in awe and excited to see him turns into, okay, now it's time to compete against him. And with me playing a two guard, the two guards would always guard Magic Johnson because the point guards on that on the opposing teams were too small to guard him. So the two guards would be the one to guard Magic. So I had that opportunity to guard him every time we played. And again, man, it's just it's, you know, when you're a kid watching him on TV, now you're older and you're on the same court as him. It's just it's an honor. It's an honor to have that opportunity.
In 1989, 1990 season, you've got two veterans and also forgotten stars from Golden State Warriors, Joe Barry Carroll and Purvis Short. How do you remember them as a players and also teammates?
Man, both great guys. Both very mature guys. Both guys that were committed to their crafts. And, you know, again, that was an honor to play with guys like that because, again, the majority of those guys you see on TV. But the biggest thing about Joe Barry and Purvis was their professionalism. They were super professional, and they were guys that would, you know, they were mentor you. They were mentors because they were older and they had been through this league for multiple years. So they were mentors. And again, when you're a rookie, you can't help but to appreciate, or when you're older, a little younger than them, you can't help but to appreciate guys like that.
So it mentioned season, you were leader in scoring in the team. You've got 50.8 points per game, but team traded you to Chicago Bulls. Did you expected this move, and how do you feel with this?
I didn't expect the move. You know, it was one of those things where we had Bill Fitch was the coach of ours, and you know, when you're young, I could appreciate him now, but when you're young, you know, you have an ego. You want to play the game the way you want to play the game. So I think there was at times we didn't see eye to eye, and you know, I never thought that I was going to get traded that early. But if I did get traded, I never would have dreamed I would have gotten traded to Chicago after, like you said, me leading the team in scoring. You know, coming off my best season and getting better every year. I knew, you know, once I heard the news about Chicago, I knew that, you know, that was going to go downhill because of me playing behind the best player in the world. So, you know, I don't know how excited I was because of that. But things happened, and I was fortunate to go to Chicago, and I was fortunate to win a championship ring before I got traded over to Sacramento Kings.
Also, from the fan perspective, being so close every day to Michael Jordan, who is a GOAT, it sounds like the dream comes true. But how it was for you, from Dennis Hobson perspective, to be close to him and be MJ teammate and play him on the practice and also on the court?
You know, it's always, I think I feel good about it because, you know, so many people would have loved to have had the opportunity to just be in his presence. And again, it's something that I didn't appreciate until I got older. But Michael is he's a good guy. He's a very competitive guy, and he's a guy that demands a lot of his teammates because he wants to win. And that's the type of thing that you kind of appreciate when you get older. Hard to appreciate it when I was younger because of, again, Lee coming from a team like New Jersey where I led them in scoring and played all the time. It was kind of tough to, again, sit there and watch him play. But again, now that I'm older, I appreciated the opportunity to be a part of that Bulls first championship.
How do you remember that championship season, the pros and cons of this?
Well, I knew when I first got traded there, myself and Cliff Livingston, we got traded to Chicago almost around the same time. And just to be able to participate in that first practice, I could see the difference in regards to the guys and with Michael Jordan, because they had a goal, they had a vision, and they were serious and committed about going after this goal, and that was to win the league, and then win the tournament, the NBA tournament, and then get to the finals and win the finals. So again, I thought that we were very, very focused, and a lot of that had come from guys that were already on that Chicago Bulls team, and they had gotten so close for a couple of years, but they just couldn't get over the hump. So again, they were a focused group, and I was excited to be a part of that.
As you mentioned, after that season in Chicago Bulls, you were traded to Sacramento Kings, and of course, stats hasn't shown the whole aspect of the game. But when we look at the stats from the Sacramento Kings time, and we look at the per 36 minutes, it looks like it was the best season statistically in your career. And do you feel in the same, that it was the best season you played in the NBA?
Well, I mean, I felt that I was able to get my rhythm back when I got traded to Sacramento, because again, I play behind Mitch Richmond, and I think I averaged about 20 minutes a game, but I averaged 10 point something a game. I can't recall. But again, it gave me the opportunity to start getting myself back where I was when I left New Jersey. Because if you look at the stats, my rookie year, my second year, my third year, each year I got better. So I was figuring out the game. I had a better understanding of the NBA game. So again, it's in Sacramento. It allowed me to get my flow back. So again, I appreciated that opportunity to play with those guys as well. And there's a lot of things that you learn as you journey through life that maybe didn't go the way you wanted them to go, or maybe they did go the way you wanted them to go. But at the end of the day, no matter what, you got a story to tell, and you can share a lot with the young generation of kids that's looking forward to or trying to be an NBA player.
Why did you decide to go overseas after this season in California?
Bad advice. I had bad advice, man. I had an agent, and I had a guaranteed contract on the table. That guarantee was for 1 year only, though. Okay, and after that 1 year, I could have been an unrestricted free agent. I could have went anywhere. Okay. But I think when you're young, you kind of pay attention to the advice of your agent, and that's what I did. But again, that's one of those stories. If I had to do it all over again, I would have played that 1 year. I would have signed that 1 year deal, and hopefully I could have continued to play better, and took that and either stayed at Sacramento or went somewhere else. But again, being young and not really knowing what's going on, and listening to the advice of somebody else that was in your corner caused me to go overseas. And that's something that I would share with the kid. Make sure, hey, when it's your future, you make sure you make all the decisions in regards to your future.
Did you try to come back to the NBA later?
No, I never tried. I never tried to come back to the NBA. I was making so much money over in Europe, so I decided to stay over in Europe. And plus, Europe started a little earlier than the NBA. So if you're getting offered guaranteed money to play over there, I wasn't going to try to come back to the States and try to make somebody's team. That's where I learned. That's where I learned that the NBA was a business, and it's all about getting your money and moving on with your life. So that's what I did. I stayed over in Europe and made good money, and I finished my career out in Europe.
You play in many countries, many overseas leagues. What are the best memories from that period?
Having an opportunity to play against super competitive guys. I think, when you're young, your whole thing is, hey, I want to be in the NBA. I want to be in the NBA. But, when you get the chance to experience Europe, you see that, hey, man, they have a lot of great players over in Europe. And that's why a lot of them are coming over here to play now, because they can play. So, again, the experience of me having that opportunity to be in another country, that experience having the opportunity to play the game that I love in another country, it was special. It was special to me. And that's something that I will never forget, and I will always share with people.
You're still close to the basketball. Now you are a coach at Lourdes University. Could you say something more about the pros and cons of being a coach? And also, is it just a job or a passion?
The pros is you're still doing something that you love to do. The cons are, you're dealing with a different type of a kid nowadays. So it's not always easy to relate, because, again, these kids are a little different from the way we grew up back in the day. So if I had to say, the pros would be, I'm still doing what I love to do. The cons would be, hey, man, you're coaching a different type of a kid now.
And if you could describe Denise Hobson as a coach, how would you say a couple of words about this?
Super competitive. I'm very demanding. I'm going to hold you accountable. But again, I know what it takes. I'm not going to do anything that wasn't done to me. You know what I mean? I coach hard, and again, when we step in the game, I coach. I want to give myself a chance to win the game, always.
If you could select the all NBA Dennis Hobson teammates team, who would be in the starting five?
What is that? Is that teams that I played on?
Yes, the players
that I played on. It would probably be Cliff Livingston, Buck Williams, I'm trying to think here, Wayman Tisdale, Spud Webb. I got one more, right? Probably Stacey King.
You mentioned about Buck Williams. I remember him from the time when he played in Portland Trailblazers, but the time when it was his peak of his career was in New Jersey Nets. How do you remember him as a player, and do you think that he could do more in the different conditions in different team?
Buck was for one, he was a true professional. Okay, he was a very mature professional. I mean, he was a great husband to his wife. He was a great mentor to the young guys. He was a guy that was going to come out, compete every game, give you 110%, on both ends. He was a guy that was, he was a professional. He was never late. He never getting in trouble. He was always a professional. So if I had to say anything about him, he was a real true professional.
Mm-hmm. Denise, thank you very much for conversation. Thank you for sharing with us about your career as a player and also as a coach. It was nice to come back to late 80s and 90s. So thank you very much again, and have a nice afternoon.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye.